A fourth North Carolina State University student died of an apparent suicide this semester.
He died right after failing a math test.
He's just somebody you would never guess.
The 22-year-old senior was found in a campus residence.
Leading cause of death for young adults.
He hid the depth of his pain and chose a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Whether it's anger, sadness, you're feeling down, you're feeling blue, it's natural. I just want to make talking about mental health normal.
A lot of my performance dictated my mental health and just like my mental well-being.
When your identity is wrapped in that sport or that thing that you do, it's really hard to separate.
Depression can affect anybody. It does not discriminate.
The biggest challenge with this problem is that it scares people. It's an uncomfortable topic. Mental health challenges can affect anyone, even those we least suspect. There is hope once we understand that there's no shame in asking for help. How comfortable were you growing up on football teams, talking about your emotions?
You have your close friends on the team that you talk to, and you have that tight-knit relationship to where you actually can have someone to talk to, whether it's your roommate, whether it's just a friend that you built this bond with. I've been blessed enough to be on teams there where we even still talk today about family members or sitting down in their locker when they have a tough moment and just giving them a hug and things like that and saying we're here for you and being there for each other is important.
At your foundation, you try to get everybody to think kindness. Where did that come from?
One, I'd say it's a way that I live. You want to be kind and nice to everyone because you never know who you'll impact. You never know how you'll impact someone, whether it's a conversation or you're walking by someone or you're talking to someone, or whether it's towards bullying or mental health. If you are kind and think kind, it impacts those two things tremendously. And it's one of our mantras at Caleb Cares. So
988 is the suicide lifeline. That's what you can dial now instead of needing to know the whole number. You painted 988 on your nails.
Yep.
Tell me about that.
So I actually did that 2 years ago now. I thought it was a cool idea to be able to, one, be a male, paint your nails, two, be in the position of quarterback and play football, such a male-dominant sport, and then also be able to paint my nails and put 988 on it and support and be there for others on a national level. I just want to make talking about mental health normal.
Research shows that medication is only effective 50% of the time for depression, yet human connection is 90% effective.
Yep.
So, as you use your voice, something that I hear a lot is, why should I care? It's never affected me. What would you say to that person that doesn't understand why they need to learn about this or why they should reach out to somebody else?
It's important for them to learn because you can always help someone, even if you've never been through it, even if you don't go through it, if you haven't been through it yet in your life. You never know who you can help and how many you can help.
You're under a lot of pressure, and I know you're prepared and that's how you handle your pressure, but you're still gonna have your disappointments.
Yeah.
What are your in-the-moment coping mechanisms that you do when something happens, but you have to get your head back in the game?
It doesn't even have to be about sports or anything. It's the people that I'm around, knowing that people care, knowing that people are dependent on me. We set goals in our mind at the beginning of the season or during the season that we want to go reach, and I don't want to let any of them down. I don't want them to, feel down or feel disappointed. And so when I mess up, I throw a pick or interception or something like that, or I fumble, I go to the sideline. I start to encourage because, like I said, I don't want to let them down or bring any doubt or anything like that, and put that in their mind. Losing for sure bothers me a lot. It affects me a lot, and so. Especially in the moment. When I get to the locker room, I also understand that I have, like I said, other people depending on me or other people looking at me, and so I have to deal with my emotions, not push them off to the side or anything like that, but deal with them.
You said something really powerful, that you deal with your emotions, you don't push them away.
Yeah.
And it can be, male culture. Oh, you don't feel that, just go away from it. So do you have anything to say about what it's like to feel your emotions and kind of deal with them?
I mean, when things come up and you have a certain emotion, whether it's anger, sadness, you're crying, you're not crying, you're feeling down, you're feeling blue, whatever the case may be, it's natural. Everyone deals with things differently. Even if they do feel the same on the inside, maybe on the outside it looks a little different. I mean, there's been times where on different teams where I've lost and I'm sitting on the plane, or we're sitting on the bus, or we're walking out of the stadium. I mean, you hear laughter, so maybe their laughing is a mask for how they feel inside. And for me, I won't be laughing. I'll walk out of there, I'll have my headphones on. I don't really want to, speak to people after because I'm trying to replay all of the things that went wrong, all of the things that I maybe could have done better. And that person that might walk out laughing, may feel the same as I do inside, but and the next teammate may walk out and he doesn't really feel anything because maybe he didn't feel like he contributed. Everybody deals with things differently and reacts to things differently, and I should, and everyone should, understand that and be better at it.
My first words were "Mom, Dad, and touchdown," which is, I think it's just kind of funny because it just shows like there had to have been so much sports going on for touchdown to be my very first word. I was always playing pretty much everything in every season I could until high school, and then I started focusing more on football and lacrosse when I got to that point.
I found basketball, and I think basketball really saved my life because there was a lot of family drama. My parents were both gang members once in their lifetime. They had put that life away. They were also drug addicts at one point in their life. But when they had me, they kind of changed their life around, and I never really experienced that side of them until I was about 11 years old. And, things started to go downhill. I noticed my family dynamic just shift in the blink of an eye.
Athletics was the main focus of what I was about. It landed me into places I'd never been or experienced before. It's tough from a young age. You're expected to be at a certain level, and I was lucky to have some support throughout, but I had my own challenges.
Starting from such a young age and having those pressures, what age would you say your own challenges began?
I think it was really my senior year in high school. I had made the top team, and one of my first games was actually injured my shoulder. I went to a school that has the highest level of players in the NHL, and that became the expectation. That's all I wanted, and that was my identity.
Can you take me back to that day and tell me how that felt and that initial impact, knowing the repercussions that could come from this injury?
I remember it was a game, one of my first games, and just got hit on the side. I felt something was wrong, kind of excruciating pain. I had never experienced anything like that, and that was really more about the questions after when that injury came. How would I come back from that? How could I keep achieving if this injury was holding me back?
I don't know if you experience this, but many people will experience ruminating thoughts of just thinking and not being able to get out these intrusive thoughts about their future, night after night. Is that something that you struggled with as well?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when your identity is wrapped in, that sport or that thing that you do, it's really hard to separate, and it's hard to not think about others or compare yourself or try and move yourself through that without just overthinking it. When you're injured, then that happens even more. So it was definitely the first experience of a huge setback where I was sort of frozen in time, you could say. Knowing that my journey ahead was still to try and achieve and become a Division I athlete. And I ended up doing that and attended a school where there weren't many plans for me as a player. and I quickly realized I wasn't in a good situation. On top of the injury coming off of that, now going to a new environment with new teammates that were awesome, but not being able to achieve was really what sent me down a path that really wasn't healthy, and ended up transferring because of it. It was really a dark time for me, if I'm being honest, because I had achieved that Division I status, and that was really what mattered to me. And now things are a little different. You can transfer to any other school, but at the time you couldn't do that. So I had to sit out a year if I wanted to continue to play, or move on to a Division III school, which is where I found Hobart. That's really where things started me on a better path. I went on to be the captain of the team and really thrived in that environment. And I was on sort of the other side of that moment in my life.
It kind of started when my dad lost his job. So I went outside one day and I found a brown paper bag. And as a kid, I've always been smart, and my intuition was always there. I finally looked inside and it was a crack pipe. It took me about 2 months to realize that if I stayed, it was gonna be me wrapped up in the situation, me wrapped up in the drugs. And I would go to this place called the Joan Kroc Center all day, every day, starting at like 6 o'clock in the morning, all the way until they closed, just because I didn't want to be home. I didn't want to deal with anything that was going on. The eviction notice was there. We had nothing in the house. I was sleeping on the ground, no food, no water. And thankfully, I really appreciate my basketball coach at the time. One day he saw me walking home from a basketball tournament. It was almost near 12 o'clock in the morning, and he found me. He stopped me. His son was in the car. He took me under his wing. He's the dad I call dad now. And if it wasn't for him that day, who knows, where my life would have taken me, because I was definitely headed down the wrong road. It wasn't as easy to say I just moved in with him and everything was, sunshine and flowers, but it was definitely a lot better than what my situation was. I found a way and, got a college opportunity to play basketball. I was excited to just get out of the environment that I was in. But I was also nervous because I knew that I didn't have a home once I moved. I actually was supposed to go to University of Southern California out of high school. The coach got fired and I had built a relationship with her. She knew everything that was going on in my life. Anyone who knows the college process, it's a blessing, don't get me wrong, but it's also stressful. Trying to figure out which schools are telling you the truth, which schools are just giving you fluff, and trying to find the best fit for you. Luckily for me, I had a lot of options, so it was definitely overwhelming. But I essentially just chose Texas, University of Texas at Austin. Dealt with a whole bunch of stuff there. I gained so much weight. I was at my highest ever. And the head coach knew a little bit about my story. And she just constantly pushed going to see a psychologist. And knowing the person that I was at that time, I saw that as a weakness. I saw that as, you can figure it out on your own. Why do you need someone else's help? And if you do go see a psychologist, they're gonna look at you crazy. I transferred to South Carolina and I just knew this was the fresh start that I needed. I was playing, honestly, the best basketball my entire life. First, the NCAA denied my waiver, so I was gonna have to sit out that year. Then secondly, I broke my feet. I had stress fractures in my navicular bones that required surgery. And that was a really, really tough time. I think a turning point in my life and an eye-opener, because the aftermath of having surgery was a moment that I couldn't get myself out from. And that point was the big, scary D word of depression. But at the time, I didn't know what it was. And when I had got to South Carolina, I started talking to a psychologist. He told me that I was dealing with depression. I always looked at depression like a weakness, and that was just never a part of me. I never wanted to be seen as weak. I never wanted to be seen as vulnerable, as anything less than strong. Once I went and accepted the fact that I had depression, I was able to get better. Because if I would have stayed in the denial stage, who knows how long it would have lasted. Depression can affect anybody. It does not discriminate. For me, it's acknowledging the